What happens when two of daytime TV's most trusted faces sit down for what's supposed to be a warm, easy conversation? And it suddenly unravels into one of the most awkward, tense moments ever broadcast. Today, we're diving into the interview that left viewers stunned. An exchange that went from lighthearted to explosive. So explosive, in fact, that security had to step in and escort a major celebrity out of the studio. Before we unpack the chaos, hit that subscribe button and drop a comment telling me what you think caused this interview to derail so dramatically. Now buckle up, because this one escalates fast. Kelly Clarkson began her show with her signature energy, welcoming Valerie Bertinelli to the stage as the audience cheered. Valerie walked out smiling, dressed in a burgundy blazer and jeans, waving the way longtime fans know so well. They shared a warm hug, sat down, and eased into friendly chatter. Recipes, work updates, everyday life. Everything felt smooth, natural, and completely harmless. But here's where things take a sharp turn. About 7 minutes in, Kelly shifted forward in her seat. Her tone changed. Lighter moments evaporated. She said, "Valerie, I want to bring up something that's been circulating online. Some people feel your recent comments about wellness and body image have been problematic, especially considering your own history. How do you respond to that?" And just like that, the atmosphere shifted. Valerie's smile dropped. Her jaw tightened, barely noticeable, but the cameras caught it. She replied, "Kelly, that's really misrepresenting what I've said. I've been intentional and careful with my words. Anyone who listens to the full context, not just headlines, would know that." You'd think the tension would stop there, but Kelly didn't budge. She responded, "I hear you, but the criticism isn't just from headlines. Actual health professionals have pushed back on your phrasing. Do you think any of that criticism is valid, or is it all blown out of proportion?" The room went silent. Valerie leaned back, crossing her arms. "I think people today look for reasons to be offended. I've never claimed to be an expert. I've shared my experience. If that's controversial now, I don't know what to tell you." Another hook moment. Kelly's eyebrows lifted. She said, "But Valerie, with your platform, don't you feel a responsibility when discussing sensitive topics? People who are struggling are watching. Words matter." Valerie leaned forward. Her voice sharpened. "Kelly, with all due respect, I've been doing this for over 40 years. I don't need a responsibility lecture from someone who hasn't lived my life." The tension was now impossible to ignore. Kelly's expression hardened. "I'm not lecturing you. I'm asking a question that many people want answered. And honestly, your reaction surprises me." Valerie let out a humorless laugh. "Surprises you? Kelly, I came here to talk about my cookbook and my life. Instead, you're hitting me with baited questions like, this is some expose. That's not defensiveness. That's me calling out what's happening." Kelly stayed calm but firm. "This isn't an ambush. These are public questions, and I thought you'd prefer addressing them directly rather than through PR statements. Isn't that what real interviews are? Honest conversations?" And here's the moment everything snapped. Valerie stood up. Yes, stood up, shocking the entire audience. "Honest conversations, Kelly? You don't want honesty. You want a viral moment. You want me to break down or apologize for something I don't believe I need to apologize for. This is about your clicks and your ratings, not my truth. I've been in this business too long to fall for that." Those were Valerie's exact words as she rose from her seat. Her frustration no longer subtle, no longer hidden behind polite expressions. Kelly stood up as well, her voice lifting but still trying to maintain control. "Valerie, that's completely unfair. My entire show is built on honest, genuine conversations. I'm not here to trap anyone. I'm trying to understand your point of view, but you're refusing to even engage with the question." And then came the spark that sent the whole studio into shock. Valerie pointed directly at Kelly, her voice razor sharp. "You know what, Kelly? You sit here in this perfect little studio with your perfect little audience, and you judge people. You act like America's sweetheart who never does anything wrong, but you're just like everyone else in this industry. You use people for content, and I'm done being your content today. The room fell dead silent. Cameras kept rolling. Kelly's face flushed. She fired back. Using you for content? Valerie, you agreed to be here. This is an interview. If you can't handle being asked about things you've said publicly, then maybe interviews aren't something you should be doing right now. Valerie grabbed her purse with a sharp, deliberate motion. Maybe you're right. Maybe I shouldn't be doing interviews where the host has already decided I'm guilty before I even sit down. Coming here was a mistake. Kelly crossed her arms tightly. Walking away doesn't make the criticism disappear. Sooner or later, you'll have to address it instead of attacking everyone who brings it up. And then, another explosive moment. Valerie turned, stepping closer to Kelly. I'm not walking away from anything. I'm removing myself from a hostile setup designed to make me look bad. There's a difference, and you know it. Kelly stepped back, maintaining composure only by a thread. Nobody set anything up to make you look bad. You're doing that on your own by refusing to answer a legitimate question. I've had hundreds of guests here discussing tough topics. The difference is, they were willing to talk. Valerie's eyes narrowed. Don't patronize me, Kelly. You think because you've hosted a talk show for a few years that you understand how this works? I've done this my entire life. I know exactly when someone's trying to turn me into a cautionary tale. Kelly threw her hands up. A cautionary tale? Valerie, you're not a victim. You said things publicly. Those comments started a conversation, one involving real concerns from real people. All I did was ask you about it. That's literally my job. But Valerie wasn't finished. She let out another bitter laugh. Your job is to entertain. Your job is to make people feel good and sell products during the breaks. Don't pretend you're some investigative journalist holding people accountable. You're a talk show host who used to be a singer, and a great one, but that doesn't make you Barbara Walters. The audience gasped audibly. Kelly's face drained of color before she steadied herself. So now we're doing personal insults instead of an actual discussion. That's where we're at? Valerie put her purse back down and folded her arms tightly across her chest. You started this. You brought me here under false pretenses. You asked loaded questions designed to corner me. And now you're upset because I'm not letting you script my reactions. What exactly did you expect? Kelly's voice rose, the professional veneer slipping away. I expected you to stand behind your own words. I expected you to think before making public statements. I expected accountability instead of blaming the world for misunderstanding you. That's what I expected. Then came the moment that shocked everyone watching. Valerie stepped in closer, her voice dropping low but gaining intensity. You want to talk accountability? Fine, let's talk about yours. You've built a brand on being relatable and down to earth, but you live in a mansion with a staff managing every part of your life. You preach authenticity while reading lines written by producers off teleprompters. Where's your accountability? Kelly's jaw fell open. That has absolutely nothing to do with what we're discussing. You're deflecting because you don't have a real answer. Valerie shook her head slowly, tension radiating from her posture. No, Kelly, Valerie said, her voice steady but icy. I'm pointing out the hypocrisy of you sitting there judging me when you're just as manufactured as anyone else in this business. The only difference is you've convinced people you're not. Kelly pointed back at her, and for the first time her hands were visibly shaking. I have never claimed to be perfect, she said, her voice tight. I've been open about my flaws, my mistakes, my struggles. But what I don't do is put out potentially harmful messages about health and wellness, and then act shocked when people push back. That's the difference. Valerie's expression hardened. The difference between us is that I earned my place. Decades of work, decades of scrutiny, decades of public highs and lows that you couldn't even imagine. You got a golden ticket from a singing competition and rode that straight to the top. Don't lecture me about earning anything. The audience murmured, some visibly uncomfortable, others glued to every word as the tension built. Kelly's eyes were blazing now. A golden ticket? I've worked my butt off for everything I have. Albums, tours, building this show from scratch. How dare you try to diminish all of that just because you're angry? I asked you a difficult question? Valerie picked up her purse again, her voice quiet but cutting. I'm not angry, Kelly. I'm disappointed. I thought you were better than this. I thought you understood what it means to be a woman in this industry, but this? She gestured around the studio. This stunt for ratings? It's beneath you. Or at least, I thought it was. Kelly's voice cracked. Just slightly. This isn't a stunt. This is me trying to do my job honestly and with integrity. I'm not going to throw softballs just because someone has seniority or celebrity hard questions matter. For you. For me. For everyone. Valerie turned toward the exit. Then ask yourself some hard questions, Kelly. Ask yourself if this ambushing guest is really the kind of show you want to run. Ask yourself if this is the legacy you want to leave. And I truly hope you can live with your answers. Valerie, don't walk out, Kelly called after her. We can talk through this like adults. You don't have to run. Valerie stopped, spun around, and raised her voice. I'm not running. I'm refusing to take part in your circus anymore. There's a difference, and the fact that you can't see that says everything about where you are right now. Kelly stepped toward her. My circus? Valerie, you're the one causing the scene. You're the one who couldn't handle a straightforward question and blew it into this. At least own that. Valerie's face reddened. A simple question? Kelly, nothing about what you did was simple. You came at me with an agenda. You had a narrative ready before I sat down. And when I didn't read the lines you wrote for me, you got defensive. That's not journalism. That's not good TV. Honestly, it's just mean. Kelly stopped walking, now about 10 feet from her. Mean? I've been nothing but respectful. I asked a question. You launched into personal attacks. You insulted my career, my integrity, and I'm the mean one? Do you hear yourself? Valerie's voice was trembling with anger. You ambushed me, Kelly, on national television. You framed me like I'm some villain who doesn't care about people's health. You twisted everything into something ugly, and you did it with a smile that makes it worse. Kelly's eyes filled slightly, but her voice didn't break. I didn't twist anything. I repeated your own words. If you don't like how they sound, maybe that's the real issue. Maybe that's what you need to reflect on. Valerie wiped her eyes. Anger, hurt, maybe both. You know what? You might be right. Maybe I do need to think about some things, like why I trusted this show. Why I trusted you, and clearly you're not someone I can trust anymore. Kelly's voice dropped to a soft, fragile whisper. That's how you want to leave this? After all these years in the same circles, the same industry? You're really willing to burn this bridge? Valerie stepped in again until the two women were barely 3 feet apart. Her voice was low, controlled, and sharp enough to cut. You didn't ask a difficult question, Kelly. You backed me into a corner. No matter what I said, you were ready to twist it. You wanted me to either fall on my knees and apologize for something taken out of context, or look angry and uncooperative. Those were the only two outcomes, and you knew that before I even sat down. Kelly shook her head, tears streaming openly now. That's not true, she said, her voice wavering. I gave you space to explain. I gave you every chance to clarify. I tried to help people understand your perspective. You chose to make it personal. You chose to lash out. Valerie's voice dropped even lower. It became personal the second you used what I thought was our friendship to pull me into a setup. Don't pretend you and your producers didn't sit around planning how to get the juiciest moment out of me. I've been manipulated by this industry before, but I never thought you would be the one doing it. Kelly wiped her face, her voice trembling with emotion. We aren't friends, Valerie. We've been friendly, yes, respectful, supportive. Colleagues in the same world. But friends, real friends have hard conversations. Real friends tell the truth, even when it hurts. And if we were friends, you'd know I would never intentionally hurt someone I cared about. Valerie laughed, a broken, almost frantic sound. You're hurting me right now, Kelly. In front of hundreds of people, in front of cameras that will replay this moment forever. You're hurting me, and somehow you're still trying to paint yourself as the victim. Do you see how twisted that is? Kelly's voice climbed again. I'm not playing a victim. I'm trying to talk to you. But every time I bring up the issue, the actual issue, you turn it back on me. This isn't about me, Valerie. It's about the comments you made and whether you stand by them. Valerie threw her hands up. Fine. You want clarity? Here's clarity. I stand by every word I've said. I stand by my story. I stand by sharing my life honestly. What I don't stand by is the way people twist my words to fit their narrative. And apparently that includes you. Is that the answer you wanted? Kelly crossed her arms tightly. What I wanted was a moment of understanding. Maybe even a little accountability. Just some sign that you realize people were hurt. Some sign that the impact of your words matters more than winning an argument. But clearly that's asking too much. Valerie's voice dropped to a growl. You want me to apologize for being human? For being imperfect? For telling the truth about my journey? You want me to crawl on the floor because some people decided to be offended by my honesty? No. I won't apologize for being real. Kelly opened her hands helplessly. Nobody wants you to apologize for being human. People want you to take responsibility for your influence. There's a difference. If you can't see that difference, I don't know how to reach you. Valerie picked up her purse again, this time with slow, deliberate finality. Then don't reach me, she said. Don't say another word. We're done here. This interview is over. This conversation is over. And whatever relationship we had, that's over too. I hope this moment, this spectacle was worth it. Kelly's voice broke completely. Valerie, please don't leave like this. We can fix this. We can understand each other. Valerie turned her back and walked toward the exit. There's nothing to fix. You showed me exactly who you are today, and I believe you. Enjoy your show. Kelly called after her, louder, more desperate. Valerie, you can't walk off my set. We're filming. There's an audience watching. You can't just leave. Watch me, Valerie said, not slowing down. Kelly's gaze snapped to the producers off camera, her expression a mix of panic and fury. Stop her, she demanded. We're not done. This is not how this ends. Two security guards stepped out from the wings, blocking Valerie's path. One of them, a tall guard with a discreet earpiece, held up his hand. Ma'am, he said firmly, you need to return to the stage. You're not permitted to exit until the taping concludes. Valerie halted in front of the guards, her eyes flicking between them and Kelly. Her voice dropped to a frozen whisper that cut through the entire studio. You're seriously doing this? You're actually having me blocked from leaving? Kelly quickly stepped forward, shaking her head. I'm not trying to stop you, Valerie. I'm just asking you to stay so we can finish what we started. We can pause, breathe, reset. But we need to close this the right way. But Valerie wasn't buying it. She stared at the guards again. Move. Out of my way. One of the guards shifted awkwardly, clearly uncomfortable with the tension. Ma'am, I'm sorry, I'm just following protocol. Please return to the stage. And here comes the hook, because this is the moment everything snapped. Valerie's voice erupted, sharp and furious. I said move. I'm leaving. You cannot physically stop me. That is illegal. Flat out illegal. Kelly stepped between Valerie and the guards, hands raised. No one is trapping you, Valerie. You're blowing this up for no reason. Just come back. Sit with me. We can sort this out. Valerie locked eyes with her, unmoving. Kelly, move, or you're going to regret it. Kelly didn't budge. Or what? What exactly are you planning to do, Valerie? And then, silence. A long, suffocating silence that held the entire room hostage. The audience didn't breathe. The cameras didn't flinch. Then Valerie brushed past Kelly with a forceful shove. Not enough to hurt her, but enough to send Kelly stumbling back. Before Valerie could take another step, the guards took her by each arm. She fought against their grip. Don't touch me! Let go of me! This is assault! Kelly's hand flew to her mouth, her face drained with shock. Stop! Stop! Let her go! Let her go! But it was too late. The guards were already walking Valerie off the set. Her purse slipped from her shoulder, crashing onto the floor as she struggled to free herself. Her voice echoed across the studio. You're going to regret this, Kelly. Every single one of you is going to regret what you did today. This clip is going to be everywhere. The world is going to see exactly what happened here. The audience fell into total chaos. People standing, gasping, filming despite the strict no-phone rule. Some were crying, some were shouting, others sat frozen. Kelly just stood there, motionless in the center of the stage, watching Valerie disappear through the exit doors. When the doors slammed shut, she finally turned to the audience. Tears streamed down her face. I'm so sorry you all had to witness that. This is not how any of this was meant to go. We're going to take a break. The cameras lingered on her trembling expression for 10 more seconds before cutting away. And that was one of the most explosive, uncomfortable, and unforgettable moments in daytime TV history. A conversation that began as a standard interview and spiraled into a meltdown that no one, especially the show, will ever forget. Before you go, here's your hook. Was Kelly right to hold Valerie accountable? Or was Valerie justified in feeling cornered and betrayed? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Because trust me, more jaw-dropping moments like this are coming.